Okay, I think you have did a little work for us on this downtime, and you've got a football preview, let's call it. So what'd you come up with?
Well, this is kind of the first glimpse of the 2020 football season. And you're right, man. Talk about time on your hands. This quarantine, it makes me miss football more than I miss anything else, just because I'm ready for the next year, the next season, the next thing when we're back to normal to get started.
You're not missing your family right now.
Well, man, that's a loaded question. Of course I miss my family. I am actually, to get a little bit of peace and quiet to be able to record this, I had to walk across the street to my parents' house. So right now I do miss my family.
Okay, good. Way to cover the base there.
I'm telling you, I will say this, and this quarantine time has been a true blessing when it comes to family, because as coaches, and especially after coaching football, basketball, and then track, I had competition 2 nights a week, Thursday and Friday nights, and then Tuesday and Friday nights for basketball, and then with track it was Monday and Thursday nights, and so always busy, always gone, and so it has been really, really nice to be able to spend a whole lot of time with my family.
How many years you been coaching?
This is the end of year 15.
So there's never, I'm guessing, been a time in 15 years that you've had this much family time?
Absolutely not.
Just because of the nature of the business.
Yeah, and people say, well, you get summers off. No, we don't. You have to work summer camp and this and that. Now, it's less time in the summer for sure, but there's truly, it's a 12-month job, and of course I love it, and I'm blessed with a family that loves it. My wife is as good of a coach's wife as you can have, and then my kids love the field house. They love being at the competitions. They love being at everything, and so I really am blessed. And blessed with grandparents that help out as needed to make it all possible. So, it's really been a good time. But
I'm sorry to sidetrack you. But
it's okay.
Back to the preview, and to do that, I think we need to look at last year to look at next year. So take off. I'm sorry.
So the biggest thing is going to be, I love statistics, I love numbers, and I think that there's always a story behind the numbers. And so when you look at what we lost, which that's what we're going to focus on in the beginning, and so the first thing is we obviously know what we lost at the quarterback position. We lost arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the history of Pilot Point. And so of the 2,417 yards passing we had last year, we're going to lose 2,242 of them. And then we're going to lose 23 of our 26 passing touchdowns. Okay, that's 93% and 88% of our production at that position lost. That's a big deal, but the good thing is the guy that made up the percentage that's still there is still on the roster. And so I'm very hopeful for that position. Obviously, it's going to be a huge position. It's a huge position on any football team. But the development there is going to be a huge key to our success going forward, and I feel great about the guys that we have coming up, and the guys that we have at that position, that they're going to do a great job. The running back position, okay, we had 452 carries. Okay, that's a lot of carries in 14 games. We ran the ball really, really well. And across the board, when you look at carries and you look at rushing yards and you look at touchdowns, we lost 70% or more. Okay, of our 3,123 rushing yards, 2,177 of them graduated. All right, and then of our 37 rushing touchdowns, 31 of them graduated. And between those 31, that's mostly Javon and then Jacob. You're going to lose both of those. And so the rushing yards are the biggest misnomer, because the rushing output is very dependent on the offensive line. And we've learned, I guess you could say, through the pain of being Cowboys fans, that if you have a great offensive line, it does make a huge difference. But at the same time, you can't just put anybody back there and be largely successful. And so this past year, we were really, really fortunate to have a productive offensive line with productive backs running. So we're hoping that with the return of the offensive line and most of those pieces, that we'll be able to establish the same production. And then the last offensive category is going to be receiving. Okay, and this is our, by the numbers, where we will have to replace the least. Okay, and now by saying that, that's not a shot at Jabbo and a shot at BAM. It's just that we had some young players that stepped up, okay? And so receiving, we had 139 catches. All right, 72 of those catches graduated. That's going to be 52%. Of the 2,400 receiving yards we had, 1,100 of them are graduating, and then 11 of our 26 touchdowns are graduating. So even though we have those losses there, and it's going to be hard to replace an explosive athlete like Bam and then kind of a rock-steady performer in Jabo. But the pieces are there. And so offensively, I don't know if you're going to have a dip in explosiveness or a dip in production as much as you can expect a different offense. Okay, and that's not a scheme thing. That's not that we're changing anything. It's just that,
you're changing the pieces.
You're changing the chess pieces. It's going to be. And I'll be honest, we're not going to replace Jacob Pitts with another Jacob Pitts. There's very few programs in the state of Texas that replace a kid like that with just another quarterback that's just like him. He's special. We didn't replace Chad Cole with another Chad Cole. We didn't replace Brad Baca with another Brad Baca. We didn't, those guys are special. And so, Jacob's
that's where y'all earn the big bucks.
Well, exactly. Huge bucks, that's why they pay us, right? But the thing is that whenever you have a guy that's going to be on the Mount Rushmore of Pilot Point quarterbacks, that'll start an argument. It's hard to replace them. And so I feel good, though, about the pieces that we have replacing them. And I think that we're going to be successful. I just don't know that we're going to be, a big play offense. We still have some of the pieces that made big plays, but you're going to have to use those pieces maybe differently. A catch that Bam might make and break 4 tackles and go the distance, we might make the same catch, but we might not break the 4 tackles. And so an 80-yard gain is now a 20-yard gain. That's great. You can still work with that. It's just different.
Yeah.
And so I really look forward to seeing these young kids develop. And the other side of things is defensively. We made a little over 1,000 tackles last year. Okay, 491 of them are gone. Okay, they're graduated. That's just under 50%. Now, a lot of that, when you look at the 491 that are gone, almost 200 of them is Connor Lynch. Connor's like Jacob. You don't replace Connor with another Connor. We don't have anybody with that size and that speed that's coming up in that position. We're going to get lighter, but we might get faster. But that's a different thing than having that wrecking ball in the middle that, if Connor touched them, they were going down. And you lose that. But we have guys that can step up and that can be productive. It's just a different type of production. They can be just as efficient, just as effective. It's just going to be different. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. Now, sacks, of our 14 sacks that we had last year, we're losing 2 of them. Okay, that's just over 10%. And a lot of that is we have a gentleman who had 8 sacks. He was an all-area defensive end. He's coming back, and I expect big things from him, bigger things. I'm hoping that the 14 sacks that we had last year, I hope he gets 14 of them this coming year, and we double that total. That would be good. So I feel really good about that. And then the biggest loss on the defensive side is we had 16 interceptions in 14 games last year, and 9 of those interceptions are walking across the stage at some point in graduating. And that's going to be hard to replace, really, because that takes a ball hawk mentality, and you have a ball hawk in the middle of the field in Jabo. You had Pitts that was a lockdown corner, and same thing with Bam. And those guys made a lot of plays in the secondary. And we're going to have kids step up, and I think they can. And so with all that being said and all of that, I don't know if you call that a preview as much as it's putting to rest the 2019 group, is that we need these kids that are juniors and sophomores and freshmen. They need to be working their tails off right now to try to get every edge that we can. Because you can look on any Twitter feed, you can look on all the stuff from all these other towns that are around, and people are working, And so it's a matter of, are we outworking the Brock Eagles right now? I don't know. Are we outworking the Whitesboro Bearcats? I don't know. And nobody knows. But individually, those kids are accountable for their own work ethic right now. And so if they're not working, man, that's on you. If you're a junior and your senior season's coming up and you've chosen to take the path of least resistance and not work right now, really you're hurting yourself. And it's bigger than that. You're not just hurting yourself in a place like Pilot Point. You're hurting a community. You're hurting a tradition. That's one reason that has always drawn me back to wanting to coach in Pilot Point, is that it's always bigger than me. Nothing is bigger than the program. Nothing is bigger than the orange and black. And all these guys that go in and go through that locker room have helped build that program and that tradition and that mystique that it is to be a Bearcat. And now we're having to build it differently than we ever have before. And so, it's my hope and prayer that these guys are taking it serious and really getting after it. Now I'll get off my soapbox and we can continue.
All right.
So the next bullet point is a workout update. And so if you're familiar with around 2002, 2003, 2004, I'd be remiss if I was getting this right. We had a family that had moved into Pilot Point. They actually moved down at the end of my street, and they were the Stroops. Now, Bobby Stroop did not graduate from Pilot Point. He either graduated from Tom Bean or from Blue Ridge. I can't remember which. But he was already at Southeastern whenever their family moved here. But Brandon is a Pilot Point graduate. And so that family, great family, nice folks. I loved going and hanging out down there during the summer and spending time in their pool and things like that. But Bobby, the older brother, owns APEC. And APEC is a workout center. And so APEC has made available a workout program that is, it's posted on, I think it's the Pilot Point Athletics social media. I can't remember.
I'll put a link on the bottom of the screen.
But Bobby Stroop's put together in APEC, they've put together a great kind of a workout program. And Performance Course has put together another program. And they're offering these things free of charge to high school athletes, which I think is awesome. And I think that's really good. And so make sure that you're making athletes, make sure you're making yourself available to take advantage of these resources. Not that our coaches here at Pilot Point don't have a clue, because the stuff that Coach Peacock's putting out is amazing. But if for some reason you say, you know what, I'm really not feeling the workout that Coach Peacock put out today, hey, log on to the APEC, log on to Performance Course, figure something out that fits your needs, and just do something. That's the main thing.
Something's better than nothing.
Something is better than nothing. And so I really think that what Coach Peacock's doing with the workouts that he's putting out is fantastic. I think it's something that if the kids will buy in and do it, they'll benefit from it. Same thing if you choose to go the APEC route. Same thing if you choose to go Performance Course route. You have to do something. And so there's also a Pilot Point connection with Performance Course, because one of their coaches is it's one of the Bacas. I think it's Steven. I can't remember. If it's Steven, I think he graduated from Cleburne, but of course, his dad had a run as an AD here, and then Brad was in my class. And so, Pilot Point connections everywhere, not just Tiger King.